Welcome to ComSpark. Today we're in Columbus, Ohio, and my name is Jim Burden. I'm on the Executive Host Committee at ComSpark, and I'll be your guest host today. Today we're here with Bryan Smith, the Chief Strategy Officer from Expedient. And I've got questions for you, Bryan. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
With cloud being on the top of every executive's mind, is there one pitfall that you could give executives when they think about moving to cloud?
Yeah, I'd say there's one thing that they can learn from really the past. If you look today, people still have a lot of legacy technology around, such as mainframes. And part of that is they got locked into that technology. So as they go to the cloud, they should think about using open platforms for doing their cloud native applications like a Terraform, compared to being locked into one specific vendor's technology, or using containers so they could move between clouds if they wanted to.
That makes perfect sense. As IT leaders begin to think about multi-cloud and the impact it's going to have in the future, what advice would you give there?
That to plan for it, first and foremost, that don't think that you're going to be in one cloud forever. And with that, there's a lot of things where people don't realize that there's different types of cloud yet, because it's so new. So thinking and understanding that there's a cloud native and a hyperscale type of cloud versus an enterprise cloud. So existing applications often fit really well on an enterprise cloud, versus new applications being developed can take advantage of some of the hyperscale capabilities, and thinking about how you have those interact and really work in unison.
Bryan, as you talk about multi-cloud, there's some questions in the industry today about enterprise cloud and hyperscale cloud. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, a lot of it really comes to where an application fits best based on a few different criteria. So an enterprise cloud is going to be an application that doesn't understand that it's in the cloud. So it's most likely something you're running in-house today. And so it needs to have redundancy at the hardware layer to function properly and give you the maximum uptime. And so you're not spending too much by having duplicates of the same application being load balanced in a hyperscale cloud. And so enterprise clouds would be Expedient and IBM, Rackspace often fall into that bucket. Hyperscale is what often people use the word cloud to mean as a whole, is like an AWS, Azure, and Google, where they expect the application to be intelligent and interacting with the APIs of the cloud to drive redundancy. So that's one of that kind of big litmus tests that you could decide which application, which type of cloud your application fits best for.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification. I know I always struggle with that, trying to understand the difference between the two. Switching gears just a little bit, ransomware also a big topic in today's industry, and many customers struggle with that. Threats are everywhere. What advice would you give to businesses to how they can stop some ransomware or be prepared for ransomware?
It's big topic, and probably the fastest growing threat that we see in the space. And people try to attack it from a couple different areas. And so traditionally that they've tried to replicate data and do disaster recovery to protect themselves against threats. And those were normally protecting against like natural disaster or human error. But when you have like a malicious attack that corrupts data on one side, if you're doing replication, it immediately replicates that corruption to the other side. So that type of protection no longer works. So you need to start thinking outside of just disaster recovery or data replication and moving up the stack and thinking to more of a data availability or system availability approach. So one of the technologies you think about in any type of solution like that is adding the capability of journaling. And journaling acts like a DVR for your system, so that it might be doing a replication every 5 to 15 seconds. And so that, and it also would have an artificial intelligence in there, so that if you do experience a ransomware, it could actually identify the point that happened, roll back directly to that point, and it would just be a reboot of your servers. Versus in today's technology, if you were having a primary and secondary that's doing replication, you would replicate the bad data over, and then you have to go to your backups to get that information. So it could be days or even weeks in some instances to bring all that data back. So just by adding that feature in the way that you replicate data or doing backups with journaling, you can increase your experience dramatically in that type of bad event.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for your insights. Really appreciate it. In closing, thank you for being with us today. And for more information, please visit comspark.tech.